If your games end like this, or maybe this, every single time, then stick around and I'll show you how to stop trying to beat Aquan so you can suck less at the game like me. Hey guys, this is the one and only Ostrich Crushing Dodo, or OCDMO3 here, and today I'm going to be giving my best tips on how to play a better passive game. It also lists some of the pros and cons of doing so. I do want to start off this video by saying that no matter what the playstyle, you should always build first, shoot later. Never shoot without having your own structure built, even if there's natural cover around you. This will not only give you the advantage if you have to make a quick reaction, as building your own structures is easier to do off your own structures and more reliable, but it'll also make you seem like a better player, making them even more worried. As for the gameplay in the background, you can see I started off by jumping to Lucky Landing. Lucky isn't an unpopular spot at all, but still has some pretty decent loot for a solo player. Other decent jump spots to avoid too many start-of-game fights would include places like Haunted Hills, Junk Junction, Flush Factory, Risky Reels, or Lonely Lodge. There are other locations you could land as well, but they won't give you as good of an opportunity for decent loot as these. So to start off, there are a few clear benefits to this playstyle, and some things that you should pay attention to while playing to see if these are affecting your gameplay. I personally would say that the best thing about this playstyle is that you get a good landing. You're almost guaranteed to get top 25 every game. With a lot of people always looking for more fights and more kills, there will be players dropping really quick, all while you're still looting, so by the time you even leave the drop location after seeing only 1 or 2 people, there may be 35 to 45 people left. Then, as you run back towards the rest of the action in the circle, even more players will be dropping. By the time you see anybody, you're already in the top 25. Another benefit is that by the time you get into any fights with anybody, you're guaranteed to have plenty of materials to build a quick base, and then continue fighting. With not many people bothering you throughout the beginning of the game, for basically the first 10 minutes, you'll have plenty of time to loot up at your drop zone, and then even more time to break as many trees, rocks, and cars as you can, putting you at an instant advantage over every enemy that uses a lot of materials at every fight. Now at first, this may seem like a strange one, but this playstyle makes other players underestimate you. With the meta of the game being push everything, players that sit back and wait aren't normally the best players, and don't have great accuracy or building skill. If you can maintain decent accuracy and building speed while still playing a passive game, you'll be able to surprise players when they confidently build over to you and assume you aren't going to know what you're doing. So for the cons, there are some downsides to this playstyle, so you should be aware of those before letting this be your every game. So I couldn't really figure out what else to call this, but this basically means that playing passive, you don't get to experience the meta that everybody else is using nearly as much. While everybody else is getting used to what the new best loadout is and 5 fights a game, you really only get 1 or 2 fights a game and don't get to use the new weapons. If you're not too worried about the amount of kills you get, this isn't too bad for you. However, playing passively will accumulate a lot less fights, and therefore a lot less kills. Where the aggressive player may get an average of 10 kills per win, a passive player may get an average of 5 kills per win. While materials can be gained from just about anywhere on the map, you really only gain more ammo by killing more players and taking their leftover loot. You may find yourself getting to a final circle with only 100 AR shots to take down structures and around 15 to 20 shotgun shells or heavy shots. Along the same lines as not having much ammo, you really don't have a lot of chances to upgrade your weapons, so you often have to rely on the weapons you got from your drop location, and maybe one weapon from a raid drop if you get lucky. And finally, with the map edge locations being your friends, the storm can often be a hassle. This will make it so your first fight often ends up being while the storm is right on your butt, or while you're in the storm, making the fight that much more stressful and damaging. As far as how you can get better at this style, there are just a few things that you should pay attention to. So I know it sounds like it's kind of against the entire point of this video, but not running from fights is a lot different than running towards them. As a passive player, I wouldn't recommend running at a fight. However, you shouldn't ever feel like you should run away from a fight. Granted, there are some fights where you have a clear disadvantage, and using a launch pad to fly away or trying to sneak away wouldn't be the worst thing. but you should have a base set up and always be ready for somebody to push the base and be ready for that fight. And this one is also kind of a weird one, but it's my first instinct too. The high ground, getting the highest advantage point. While high ground is extremely important, one of the biggest mistakes you can ever make as a passive player is building your 1x1 base on top of the mountain in the middle of the circle, especially if you're not that comfortable a player. Being up that high, you'll have every single player left in the game pushing you. Along with that, oftentimes it feels like you should build a 1x1 base up 3 levels and maybe then a little spread at the top for more vantage points. You couldn't be more wrong though. This will only present a bigger target to other players and make them want to push you more and get you out of the game earlier. A smaller, simpler 1x1, just high enough to see around the base and maybe down the mountain, is plenty to get you the advantage without becoming the main focus. As is the same with the drop locations, you should always want to stay near the edges of the circle. While this is where many fights happen, it's also where players are running away from. Players are always focused on running away from the edge of the circle, therefore from you, instead of towards you at the center. You'll have less fights and see higher placements. And that's just about all the main things I can think of. If you have anything else you could add, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. If this helped you, please leave a like. If this doesn't apply to you, hit that subscribe button and come back next Sunday for a video on aggressive players. Thanks guys.